Everybody on YouTube? This is your boy Akil McLeod, and I'm a full-time eBay and Poshmark seller. Now, today we are gonna go through a nice little live Q&A session like I do every week at this time, every Sunday, 1 p.m. Standard Pacific time. So everybody on the East Coast, that's 4 o'clock, and everybody on the West Coast, of course, as you know, that's 1 p.m. So definitely thank everybody for tuning in, and definitely smash that like button. Also, drop any questions if you guys have any. Unfortunately, this is going to be the first live show that I'm doing without my fiance Dominique. She's actually on a girls trip right now, and she's having a really good time, just having some, some rest and relaxation and all of that type of stuff. That's super important for just overall good health. You know what I mean? So I'm happy she was able to go out with her friends and just have a good little trip and just chill. But for me, I use this time to really just. I also use this time to kind of relax a little bit, but also to kind of organize certain things. I'm trying to just mentally organize some of the things that I have to get done because, as a lot of you guys know out there that are fellow resellers, this is really like a one-man team. She's really there for the emotional support and things like that. But in terms of like sourcing and listing and all of that, I just try to balance as much as I can do. So like I said, definitely drop any questions that you guys may have. I saved some questions here, and I'm just gonna start running through some of these questions that I have some from previous videos and just from the comment section. And of course, like always, I answered all those already, but I'm just gonna go into further, just kind of expound on them a little bit more, just so that anybody that didn't catch those answers, we can kind of really have a better discussion. So starting things off, I got one question here. How do you inside? How do you sanitize inside of shoes? Now, this is something that I never had to do before. So the funny thing is, when I got this question, like 3 days later, I ended up getting it was like three pairs of running shoes, uh, two New Balance and a pair of Under Armour sneakers, and they all stink. Like they was terrible. I didn't understand why it smelled so bad. And not to say it was like to the point where I couldn't sell it, but somebody asked me that question and I had the same question myself. So what I ended up doing, I just put some air freshener in it. Like I literally had some air freshener from the bathroom and I let it sit outside after I really gave it a good spray, and they were good to go. They ended up selling on Poshmark. So that's one technique that I used. If it's really that bad, sometimes I might throw it in the wash. I'm thinking that might help. That might help. Or you can just try to scrub the insole, because that's usually where a lot of that that scent might be lingering. So if that didn't help, if that for me that'll help, but hopefully that works for any of you that have a similar situation. This is another question here from D'Anthony Spencer. I was thinking that my closet sucks big time. I need to expand my search beyond thrift stores. Maybe for the resellers you have bad quality clothing to sell, can suggest other ways besides thrift stores to find high quality items. Now, I know in my area, as you guys know, I find a ton of high quality items on a regular basis. This week alone has been probably the best week for sourcing for me in the past. I want to say probably the past year. I spent over $800 just this week just from sourcing in thrift stores, and I found a ton of great brands. So I'm definitely gonna share a thrift haul. I'll probably break them up and do like 3 thrift hauls. But I found a lot of great stuff. But for those of you that don't have really good thrift stores in your area, I always try to put myself in someone else's shoes instead of trying to tell somebody, oh, do this or go ahead and do this, because that's not really realistic. But for me, if I felt, because I actually was in an area that had really bad thrift stores, and it wasn't that the quality wasn't good, it was just that they were really expensive. So it would be hard to kind of flip them and make a profit. So one thing that I would do was focus more so on yard sales and garage sales. And if you're on the East Coast where it's snowing and stuff like that, and it's not really a garage sale season, just really stock up on as much inventory as you can during the garage sale season. During those summer months, those warmer months, really stock up on as much stuff as possible. And also, you might, the thing is with a lot of thrift stores, clothing is popular right now. Like there's so many different like stuff on social media and just YouTube in general where people are sharing so much reseller information. So when it comes to clothing, a lot of these thrift store managers, they're watching this stuff. So when they see a certain brand that's hot, they're gonna price it a little higher as well. So I'm thinking a thing that I would do if I was in a similar situation where thrifts wasn't as good, I would focus more on like hard goods, like electronics, uh, like home decor. You know, I see a lot of people doing a lot of like doing really good selling plates and coffee mugs and just those little random trinkets. But I'm seeing a lot of people only focus on those, and they're doing really, really good. So I would definitely focus on those two things. I would focus on garage sales and yard sales, focus on more hard goods and electronics. And also, I would probably do a lot more sourcing online. Now, when it comes to sourcing online, I would probably do more like wholesale deals, um, things like liquidation.com. The reason why I don't do it right now is because the margins just aren't as good, just aren't as strong. But you know, if you're in an area where the quality isn't there, you know, you kind of just have to focus more on quantity and trying to hone in on those $4 to $5 profit margins and just try to sell a lot more of those as opposed to trying to get home runs with clothing and you know stuff like that. So those three things will definitely work for people that's in that similar situation. I think I had a question on here, so let's try to find that. Um, put the live chat on here. Uh, let's see. I wish I had Dominique for this because she usually helps organize these questions for me. But let's see what we have here. He says he prices them a little high usually. I think he said 10 to 20% higher on Poshmark to clarify. Oh yeah. So somebody already helped me out with that. So the next question I had is your videos are all, this come from Book Pixels. Your videos are always so informative, learning a lot from you. Have you ever considered doing a video on your strategy on how you shop at thrift stores? I usually arrive early and go for the shoes first. Would love to know your process. Now, for me, my process when I get to thrift stores, the way how a lot of my thrift stores are set up, the Goodwill that I go to basically on a daily basis, is that the electronics are like right when you walk in. So at first I would kind of do a quick little scan at the electronics only because it's right there at the door. So if something stands out like a graphing calculator or maybe something that says Bose, anything that says Bose, I'm usually grabbing that. But I'll do a very quick scan and I'll just see. But that area is usually like crowded because like I said, it's right in front of the store. Then I'll go to the shoes. If I see a lot of people like surrounding the shoes, I'll skip the shoes that for that moment and then I'll go to the clothing racks and things like that. And what I do basically to sum it up, anywhere where there's a lot of people, I just go where no one else is at. So if there's a ton of people buy shoes, I go to electronics. If it's people buy the men's clothing, a lot of people, I'll go to the women's section because I hate having to feel like I got to rush or like I'm battling with other resellers because at the end of the day, we're all selling different stuff. Some people pass on things that I usually grab immediately and vice versa. You know, I don't know everything, so some stuff that I'm passing on, they'll be happy to get. But at the same time, I don't like that feeling of like having to rush and having to like elbow people and shit like that. So for me, like I said, I just go where no one else is, and once that wave of people kind of move on to the next area, then that's when I'll attack it. So that's what works best for me, only because that's my personality. I like to just have my own space. I don't want to be too crowded, but like I said, that just works best for me. Um, this is a question, and I also have my email. Usually, it's always in my description. So it's DapperAdvisor@gmail.com. Somebody sent me a question to that email address, and they said, "Hello, Dapper Advisor. I'm a subscriber to your channel, and I just watched your Does Your Closet Suck video. I'm not really making money at all. I was wondering if you could take a look at my closet. I have a mix of women's and men's clothing. I've tried pricing high and low, and I just don't have the hang of it yet." Uh, and then they shouted them. They put their closet information on there. So one thing when it comes to Poshmark and in this closet in particular, and this is very common that I'm starting to see on a lot of Poshmark closets. That's actually what inspired me to make that video early in the week. And I basically was just asking people like, does your closet suck? Like, would you shop from your own closet? Like, if you was to go on Poshmark and see some of these items, would you be excited? And even if it's not your style, would you be impressed with what you're selling? And I think that was the message I was trying to get across to people. And I think for the most part, a lot of people, when it comes to their Poshmark closets, since Poshmark is so easy to list and it's free to list, people are kind of just grabbing, whatever. They're just grabbing shit. They think it looks cool. They're like, oh, this has flowers and flowers is trending, so let me try to sell this. And they put it up for like $2 or like $5. And I think that's all wrong. I think the Poshmark community is more of like a more fashionable, more fashion forward crowd, more trendy, and everybody's basically looking for deals. But at the same time, it's people that's emptying out their own closet so that they're trying to, either trade or swap out stuff. And that's what like the whole Poshmark premise is all about. That's how I like to view it. So when it comes to selling things, like I said in the video, I only try to sell things that are dope. And when I say things that are dope, that sounds like, very random or like very vague. But everything that I sell, I'm always checking sold listings to make sure that that's actually stuff that's trending, stuff that people actually want. People have purchased it in the past. So I'm not reinventing the wheel whatsoever. When it comes to my purchases, I always say everything I buy sells. It might sell in 30 days or less. It might sell in 6 months or less. But everything I buy sells. And I think a lot of people are making the mistake of purchasing stuff that they think might sell or they think is cool, so I'm going to give it a shot. And that's how you end up with, a ton of stuff that's just sitting there, or stuff that, that's basically just worthless because it's a brand that's not popular. So yes, this person said checking comps are important. That's exactly what it is. Like when it comes to reselling, you have to do your research. Now, doing your research, every reseller says that. They always say do your research. What do your research means is literally be out there, like go into these thrift stores and literally research sold listings. And when I say sold listings, you would go into eBay, you would go into the filters, check off completed and sold, and then you would check, and then usually I would check if it's brand new with the tags and that the item that I just found is brand new, or if it's pre-owned, I would make sure that's also in the filters. And that way it lets me know how many of these items have sold within the past 90 days. And if I see something that looks cool, but it's only one sold listing in the past 90 days, I'm passing on it. If it's two or three, I'm still passing on it. Like I need to see a steady amount of sales for me to want to pick it up and bring it home, because the way how my system is, I literally want to sell. In a perfect world, I would sell everything that I purchase in 30 days or less. So for me, that's what it is. Let me make sure my volume is up. Um, it might be your phone. You might need to turn up your volume a little bit, but I just turned mine up. But like I said, at the end of the day, it's literally all about trying to sell things that other people want, and you need to see that it's like a proven track record of people purchasing those things. Now, the only caveat to that is if it's a very rare item and it's something that doesn't have a ton of souls, because it's so rare that you hardly ever find it. So if I see something that's like a Versace piece, like a vintage, not necessarily Versace because everyone knows that sells, but for me, I would pick up something like say it's something that has previous souls for like $100, but it's only one of that item. I would probably still pick it up, and then what's that? Cassie, thank you so much for your $6. Thank you very much. I'm gonna take down on a coffee date. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. But if, like I said, if something like that pops up, I would probably still pick it up only because I know it has a potential to sell for $100. But if it has the potential to sell for like 20 or 30, I'm probably gonna pass only because I know a lot of people aren't purchasing that. So I hope that makes sense. But like I said, if you guys got any other questions, drop that in the comment section and I'll try to answer that immediately. Let me try to scroll through and see if there's any questions in here. I think other good basic quality basics sell on Poshmark, especially shoes. There is a market for 30, 40-year-old women. I don't know why this keeps disappearing, but I know you sell more men's, but for other sellers. Yes, I completely agree. I completely agree. The thing is, um, when it comes to the things that I sell, a lot of the items that I sell on Poshmark, um, it's usually I try to put the things on Poshmark that sell fast, because and the price isn't that high. Like I put a pair of Gucci shoes on Poshmark for 450. I got two offers so far. One was for 100 and one was for like 200. Um, the typical Poshmark buyer that's scrolling through on Poshmark, chances of them buying those shoes for 450 are kind of slim. So I'm not expecting that to happen very fast. So of course I cross-listed them. I put them on eBay and on Poshmark. But usually the things that sell the fastest for me on Poshmark is it ranges from like 20 bucks to about 40 bucks. And I think that's where most people on Poshmark are most comfortable spending money, because if they sold two or three things on Poshmark and they have like 50 bucks in their account, for them, they're using that money like a trade. That similar to how Buffalo Exchange or Plato's Closet works. A lot of people are using Poshmark the same way. So that 20 to about $40 range, if you check my solds on Poshmark, you will basically see a lot of my sales are around that price point. So I like to keep it there. Higher item stuff, like higher profit stuff, I usually will put it on eBay because it has more of a broader market for that. Ricky V, can you answer my question? All right, let me see if I can find it. That's the thing, man. Like, I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. When you got your fiance sitting with you and she go through these questions and she just tell you which one to answer, when you gotta do it yourself, that shit sucks. Anyway, hey, so is it best to specify your category and subcategory, or just put in general broad category on Poshmark? Um, I specify it. Like if it's like I said, I only sell brands that I know people are searching for. So for me, I would only put if it's a Nike, if it's a boot. I'm specifying it to the very T. I don't usually like to leave it open ended because I know that a lot of people are some just for it to pull up in the search in the right place. I'm trying to specify it because people search for things differently. Somebody might search for, they might not care about the brand, but they might be looking for, especially if it's a woman, they might be looking for booties. So I'll just say that it's booties, but I'm like specifying it to the T's just so that it still shows up in search the best way possible. Um, let's go back to the chat and see what else I thought. So any benefits of super specify? I'm not sure what you mean by super specify. Um, if you sell women's and men's items, do you think you should have separate closets on Poshmark? No, not necessarily. I don't think that's really necessary. I know there are other people that sell that have two and three different closets on Poshmark, and I think that's perfectly fine. But I don't think it's really necessary, only because people on Poshmark. I mean, you can literally change up the filters and just show all the men items, and then you can show all the women items and stuff like that. So uh, oh yeah, I definitely need a moderator, y'all. I definitely need a moderator because somebody in here talking that bullshit. But anyway, I'll get back. Actually, I'm trying to get to this. I'm trying to figure out how I can view my chat. If somebody can tell me how I can view the chat, let me make sure this is muted because I don't usually do live shows like that. All right. I think I'm in here. I think I'm able to. I'm gonna have to be my own moderator. But anyway, keep answering questions. Keep shooting in some questions because I'm gonna have to just work with this. Uh, keep shooting in questions, y'all, because I'm gonna have to get rid of this clown in a second. So no worries. Let me just get back to a question too, just so I don't keep y'all waiting too long. Um, Lately, I've been getting junk. This comes from Hey You 922. Lately, I've been getting junk from people I buy from on Poshmark. It's super disappointing. Either they never they never mail their items at all, or it comes with stains and holes that weren't disclosed. This wasn't really a question. This was really more so like a statement. You know what I mean? And I think this is something I also wanted to address here on the live feed. I know that there's a lot of people that want to join Poshmark, and I know that there's a lot of people that want to sell things on eBay. But you, the thing with selling, it's a transaction, right? People are giving you money, and people are literally just people are giving you money, and people are trying to just get a deal at the end of the day. So I do think when it comes down to selling anything on eBay and on Poshmark, you got to remember that you got to fulfill, the promise. You literally have to ship out the item in a good amount of time. And I think that for me, since I like to ship things the same day or the next day, I kind of make it a little unfair for other sellers because they think, oh, I don't have time. I have a 9 to 5. I have other things to do. So they think it's a little tough for them to, kind of deliver that same service. But at the same time, just being realistic, and I'm not trying to be an ass or anything, but if you're unable to ship out an item within at least 2 to 3 days after somebody already spent their money with you, reselling probably isn't for you, because it's not meant to be. It's not cool to be shipping something out 7 days after they already made their order. Then you have to wait 2 to 3 days for it to get to that person. All in all, that person is 10 days until they get their item. And I think that's ridiculous. So I think as a whole, the Poshmark community, I think there's a lot of great sellers. I know there's a lot of great sellers that, check out my channel, and I definitely want to salute y'all. But at the same time, I wish there was something Poshmark could do to, like, get rid of some of these, like, bad sellers, like, especially if they have a like a habit. Like, if they're a habitual person that takes forever to ship out items, I think Poshmark could probably do something about that. But I mean, we'll see. Poshmark is definitely still new. They don't have a ton of, customer service available. So at the end of the day, I think we probably just have to wait and kind of go with the flow until Poshmark kind of continues to grow. Because as of right now, where eBay is and compared to where eBay used to be, is completely different. So I think we give it some, maybe a year or two until Poshmark gets some more people under them, and we should be good. Um, Let me try to get back to this chat. Keep sending in y'all questions. I'm gonna try to um, do two things at once, which I hate having to do. But keep sending me y'all questions, and we could keep the show going. Those of you that I think I'm logged into the YouTube. All right. Now, I've seen a lot of people say they can't hear me. If I gotta, let me know if y'all hear me now, cause I'm like yelling now. I don't talk very loudly, but I do think I will eventually get a like a mic so that you guys can hear me better. Um, I'm gonna put this person, hide user on channel. All right, yeah, you can get the fuck out of here. So how much is the fee to sell on eBay each month? This question is from Angela Foster. Now, how much is the fee to sell on eBay each month? So the fees vary. The fees definitely depend on the category you're selling. I think what it comes down to, it's basically, on average, it's like 13% that you sell, that you're paying on, in terms of eBay and on PayPal fees. But like I said, clothing is like 9%. Electronics is like, I think 10 or something like that. But overall, like on an average scale, the fees for eBay is about 13% once you factor in the actual item and PayPal fees. So sometimes, like I said, it's better to sell on eBay depending on the item, and then sometimes it's better to sell on Poshmark just based on the fees. Another good thing about when you're thinking about fees is the fact that most of the time on eBay you have to charge for shipping, right? And usually if somebody will send you a offer, they're gonna, if you have something, for example, $40 plus $8 shipping, most people are gonna send you an offer for, $32 because they don't want to pay the cost of shipping. So that's something to also consider. But the good thing with Poshmark, since they give you this like 5 pound weight limit, it's probably best to sell more shoes on Poshmark than it is to sell on eBay, because the buyer is already paying that $6.79 for shipping. So definitely consider that when it comes to fees and things like that. I know that wasn't really a question, but I'm just just trying to deliver the best amount of information. I think we got some more questions in the chat. People are saying they could hear me just fine, so that's good. I'll probably get a microphone later. Did it go up to 675? Yeah, it's 679 right now. It's only going to continue to go up as long as, I knew Poshmark's price was going to go up as soon as eBay's price went up. Every year the post office increases the cost of shipping, so I figured that was going to happen. So I agree. I do think that's too damn high. I think 679, especially if you're shipping like a t-shirt, is crazy. But I understand what Poshmark is doing in terms of their business model. It's 670. It's since it's flat, I think like for the most part, and don't quote me on this. I could just be making it up in my mind to make more sense of it, to be more comfortable with it. But I do think the things that are heavier in weight, I do think that it kind of evens itself out, if that makes any sense. The things that are heavier and it might cost $20 to ship, since there's so many items that are less than 5 pounds, I think they're kind of using that money to kind of balance itself out. So I'm not really sure. Drop a comment in the chat. Let me know if I'm like just talking bullshit or not. But um, I do think that has something to do with it. Got a question from Sketty. Before I answer this one, please put question marks in front of the question and like at the end, just so that I can see that it's a question, because I see, some people are telling me they can hear, and that's fine. But just so I can see the questions and I could actually answer them, just let me just put the questions in front. Thanks for your videos. If someone is trying to grow their eBay/Poshmark business, in your opinion, how many new listings should they be adding to their closet each week? Um, that's a tricky question. I think growing your Poshmark and eBay business, for me, it's tricky, because what I did in the beginning was literally just keep constantly trying to put stuff into my closet, and I mean into my eBay business. Like, I wasn't spending any money, any personal money. All I did was pay my bills, and every dollar that I made went right back into the business. So I do think as long as you're able to sustain, uh, like basically as long as you're able to sustain yourself and your family, all the money should be going back into the business. Now, if that means you can buy more inventory or better quality inventory, I would suggest do that. But if you're basically just, if you make $5 and then you buy a shirt that you can sell for $3, that wouldn't really make sense, because you're kind of losing money. But I would say keep putting money into your business. Keep trying to add more inventory as much as possible, because at the end of the day, that's what's gonna make your business grow. But at the same time, just be cognizant of, you know, buying good brands and making good decisions with your purchases, because you might make one really good flip and then try to put that $40 profit back into the business and then buy 5 things that don't sell. If so really try, like I said earlier, try to do the research and make sure that you're buying good things. That way you're constantly making money, and you're not basically wasting your profits on inventory that doesn't sell, because that's something that happened to me a few times. And not to say that it doesn't happen anymore, but early on, when I was in the process of trying to grow my business, I felt like I was throwing a lot of money into the business, and as soon as I made money, I would put it right back, but the things that I was buying wasn't good. So keep that in mind. um, I'm starting to see some question marks here, so thank you guys. If you couldn't sell clothes no more, what else would you sell on eBay? If I couldn't sell clothes, I would probably only sell electronics and like video game stuff. I think what works best for me is selling things that I'm a little more comfortable with and a little more knowledgeable on. So for me, I'm interested in cameras and like electronics in general. So I would sell that, like VCRs and DVDs and all those type of stuff, DVD players. I would sell that. And video games, like classic video games, is very, very hot right now. That's why I made like kind of like a, I don't want to call it a bad purchase, but I made a bulk purchase the other day, and it entails a lot of like classic games. So I'm gonna make a video about that. So I'm not gonna talk about it too much in this video, but yeah, if I couldn't sell clothes, I would sell electronics and like video game stuff. Um, Hi there, are you still aiming for the 6 figures, especially if you only source from thrift stores? Good videos as always, thanks. Hell yeah, I'm aiming for that 6 figures. I ain't playing. I'm not playing. When it comes to being a 6 figure seller, just sustaining yourself and your family, you're able to pay bills and things like that. But at the same time, I think once you hit that 6 figure level, it kind of shows that you've reached a certain level of expertise, and you're really doing it at a high level. So for me, just for my own sanity, I'm definitely gonna reach for that 6 figures. High tax rate at 6 figures. I mean, honestly, when I was working at the college, and I was like just a little under six figures because I had two jobs at that point. I mean, same type of tax stuff. The good thing is though, when talking about tax and being a reseller, there's so much write-offs. You know, once you have your own business, there's so many things you can write off in terms of taxes. So I'm not really stressing taxes as much as I used to. You know, I'm not really worried about it like that because at first, you know, I was thinking, oh, I don't want to make too much money because then I'm gonna get taxed. But at the same time, it's like, you know, shit. If you trying to make sure you don't end up in jail, you gotta pay taxes. And if you're trying to do real business and good business, you gotta pay taxes. So it's all part of the game. So it is what it is. Um, Thank you for sending in these questions. I'm starting to see a lot more questions, so that is very good. Thank you very much. Have you ever sold on OfferUp now that they offer free shipping? What? They offer free shipping? I know that. I think I sold one thing on OfferUp. I sold like a N64 that I didn't want to ship. Like it was a little too heavy and I didn't want to ship it out. And I felt like that was a point where a lot of people were saying a lot of scams were happening online where a lot of people would buy video games like consoles and they would basically gut the console and then ship back just the case. And of course, since they ship back just the empty case, um, eBay wouldn't really be able to do anything. So I was like trying to just sell those type of things locally. So I only sold one thing on OfferUp. But now that I know they're offering free shipping, now that they offer shipping, that's definitely something to consider. I did not know they offer shipping. I had no clue about that. So thank you for that heads up, I guess. Um, Sealed aftershave legal to sell on Poshmark? Yeah, I believe so. I think if you can sell makeup that's sealed, I believe you could sell aftershave. But the thing with Poshmark is that they're not necessarily pushing stuff that isn't clothing or isn't makeup. So you might have a hard time selling aftershave only because they don't have a party for aftershave. They don't have, they don't have a category for that. So you might have a hard time trying to sell anything that isn't clothing or makeup. What is your favorite thing to sell? My favorite thing to sell right now is shoes. Even if it's not like the cleanest pair of shoes, I do think for me cleaning shoes, it doesn't bother me that much. So the thing why I really do like selling shoes so much is that it's so easy to take the photos. Like I literally have a system where I take 8 photos for the shoes, and within those 8 photos, it basically encapsulates everything that a buyer would need to see. And since I got that system down packed, it just makes it that much easier for me. So that's why I like selling shoes so much. But the problem comes when the shoes are really dirty and you gotta scrub them and waste a lot of time doing that. But at the end of the day, shoes is my favorite thing to sell. Um, let's see if we get any more questions. Shipping increase on Poshmark going to hurt sales? I don't think it's gonna hurt sales. It's only 20 cents or something like that. So I don't think it's actually gonna hurt sales. But I do think since there's an increase in shipping, I do think it's gonna be a lot of people that's gonna be trying to get. Excuse me. I do think there's gonna be a lot of people that's trying to get a better deal. So since it's closer to $7, I do think a lot of people are gonna be saying things like, "Oh, can you offer a shipping discount?" or "Can you give me $3 off?" or something like that. You're gonna start seeing that a little more often, but I mean, there's no real way around people trying to send you an offer on eBay or on Poshmark. Regardless of how much the shipping is, shipping could be free and people are still going to ask you for a discount or something like that. So I don't think there's any way around it. Um, Caught you live, yay. Do shoes sell better on Posh or eBay? For me, it's about 50-50. I do think it depends on the shoes, but and of course that's obvious. It depends on the shoes, but certain brands, like like higher end brands, I think sell better on eBay. More lower end brands and just cheaper shoes in general, like that 40 to below, sells really fast for me on Poshmark. I put up about 25 shoes on Poshmark over the last week and a half, and out of that 25, maybe a little more than half, maybe 16 sold already. So for me, that's like crazy just to see how fast it's selling on Poshmark. But like I said, I do think it's selling fast because it's right in that window where people are more comfortable with spending that money. Let me keep going through these checks, these questions. Don't forget to smash that like button, y'all. I need that. I need more people to find these videos and get these answers and get this help so people can start getting this money. So smash that like button so YouTube can start, sending this out to people. Um, the shoe sell better? You on Macari? No, I'm not on Macari. That's not nothing's wrong with Macari. I just don't want my stuff on too many different platforms. So right now, eBay and Poshmark is cool for me. One of my goals for this year is to get on Amazon. So right now, I'm kind of just like preparing like a big box to ship out to Amazon for FBA. So, but that's a little different since that's going to be separate inventory. So I already cross list on eBay and on Poshmark, so I don't want to have to list on eBay, Poshmark, Amazon, Macari. Like that's too much. I think I'm selling just fine on those two platforms, and going into Amazon would be easy because it's going to be solely dedicated to just Amazon. Um, Appreciate your content. Have you considered selling on Bonanza? I have no clue what Bonanza is. If anybody could, APCKRT, if you can explain what Bonanza is, give me a brief synopsis on what that is, I'd appreciate it. But I never even heard of Bonanza, so I'm pretty sure a lot of buyers aren't on Bonanza either, or else I would have probably been on it. Thanks for the tip on using scrub and bubbles to clean shoes. Tried it last week and works perfectly. I'm glad that helped. Good question. I'd like to know how to figure jacket size when there isn't a tag. Yes, that is a good question. So for me, I would do chest to chest, like not chest to chest, armpit to armpit, and usually what they say, if you was to Google this, they would say if the armpit to armpit measurement is a 20, the jacket is a 40 regular, right? That's what they would say. But don't necessarily believe that because I've had jackets that the tag said 44 regular, but going from armpit to armpit wasn't necessarily 22. So that didn't really justify that explanation. I think what the issue is with these new measurements is that since tailoring has become so much more streamlined and everything is a lot sleeker, the measurements kind of throw things off, especially that armpit to armpit measurement. So when things don't have an armpit, like once something doesn't have a size tag in it, I would do measurements of the armpit to armpit, shoulder to shoulder, the shoulder seams, the top of the shoulder seam to the end of the cuff, and then the top of the collar to the end of the jacket. Those four measurements are usually the ones that I use, and I'll probably go in a video, go more in depth and show how I do that. But those are the only four measurements that I use when a jacket doesn't have that size tag. Do you have a mannequin for your pics? I have two mannequins. I just hardly ever use them. Lately, I've been either doing flat lays or just putting them on a rack and like just taking photos just like that. Nothing's wrong with mannequins. I think those are dope, but I just don't necessarily use it that much. I don't really need it. Like maybe bigger jackets or drapier stuff, I will put it on the mannequin, but for the most part, I don't usually use it. Um, I'm new. I don't know how to share. How do I share my closet on Poshmark? I'm an older person. Thanks. Um, with the sharing on Poshmark, all it is, it's two arrows and it's like a recycle, almost like a recycling sign. And you just press those arrows and basically you can share to your closet. I mean, share your closet to your followers, or you, depending on when you're trying to share it, you might be able to share it to an applicable party. But as long as you click on that icon that I said, that looks almost like a recycling sign with two arrows, you can basically share your closet. But don't forget, you have to share every item individually. You can't just press one button and share your entire closet. Like if you have a lot of stuff in your closet, it might take you anywhere between 20 minutes to an hour to share your own closet. So just be cognizant of that. Have you ever tried flipping Supreme? Yes, I tried flipping Supreme. I remember I spent about 600 bucks, and this was around last year. I think this was like the the fall release, whatever fall drop they had, and it was a lot of hype around it. So I picked up basically anything that I could pick up. So I bought like three or four hats, a jacket that was like $400, and a crossbody bag. And all of those things sold. The jacket took maybe 3 or 4 months to sell, so that kind of pissed me off because it was so expensive. But I'm not gonna be flipping any more Supreme unless I find it for a really great deal, only because um, the profit margins aren't really there, and the amount of money that you need to buy these items, it's not worth it. Like I was spending $40 on a hat, and I was selling the hat for like 65, $70. So unless you can flip those items really, really quickly, where the hype is still there, like as soon as it drops and you can just sell it really, really quickly, that will work good if you can sell it fast. But if you have to hold on to it, these kids that's buying these Supreme items, once the new drop happens, they're over it. So don't get too caught up in trying to sell Supreme. I know there's a lot of like, hype around it, and there's a lot of resellers talking about how great Supreme is, but at least for me, it's not worth it, and I'm not gonna waste my time trying it again. Um, let's see if there's any more questions. Also, when is the wedding? Congrats, you're such a great guy. Congrats. Thank you very much. The wedding is September 16th. Let's see. I try to avoid items with no tags. Hell yeah, me too. When your Amazon takes off, will you still sell on eBay? I hope you make Amazon videos. Are you scared about Amazon? Yeah, I'm probably always going to continue selling on eBay. I think there's a market for eBay, and I think there's a market for Amazon. It's just a matter of, trying to recognize where your audience is, and just doing it like that. But for me, I'm always going to prefer selling clothing, and it's easy. It's better for me to sell clothing on eBay and on Poshmark than it is on Amazon. So I'll probably always still sell on eBay, but I'm not necessarily afraid of Amazon. What I'm more so concerned about is returns, because I know with people that buy things brand new on Amazon, they would open the package, then they'll feel like, oh, I don't want it anymore, and then they'll return it, and that's perfectly fine with Amazon. But as the seller, it sucks because now you have something that was brand new, but now it's opened, and now you have to deal with it. And then that's why people buy Amazon pallets full of returns, because it happens so often. So that's the only thing I'm a little nervous about. But scared money don't make money. So at the end of the day, if you want to sell on Amazon, you got to take that risk. You got to pay to play. Um, let's see. Hi, can someone still open a case after 3 days and you got the money? No, after the 3 day window is closed and the item is accepted, people can't open a case anymore. That window is closed and it's over. Plus, once you got the money, it is what it is. But people can change their review. They can give you 5 stars 1 minute, and then they can, like, a month later can pass, and then they can, give you 1 star because of something stupid. I'll give you an example. I sold a sweater. It was like a Coogee-like sweater, but it wasn't Coogee. It was just a vintage sweater, and it was dope. The person bought it. They got it fast, then they was happy, and they gave me 5 stars, and that love note said, "Thanks, great fit," like a perfect fit or something like that. 4 days later, the person changed their message to me. They changed their feedback, and they changed it from 5 stars to 3 stars and said it shrunk in the wash. And I'm like, are you fucking serious? Like, of course it shrunk in the wash. You're not supposed to wash something like that. And if you did wash it, you wasn't supposed to dry it, but and at the end of the day, why would you change my feedback? Because you washed it. But stuff like that happens all the time. I don't let it bother me. Like, as soon as I saw it, I just laughed and kept going. But like I said, these things happen all the time. Do you participate in Poshmark closet clearouts and other markdown events? Do you find that helps your sales? Closet clearouts? What is? Oh, I know what you're talking about. Like when they have those events that they talk about. I never really do it. I feel like it happens all the time. Like, it used to happen like once in a while, but I feel like every other week it's like a Poshmark event. So I don't really pay attention to it. For me, I just try to share my closet at least 2 to 3 times a day. Try to put new, fresh inventory in there at least, a few times a week. I try to maintain 150. I'm trying to level that up to about 200 to 250. So as long as I'm making sales, that's what's good. That's what's important to me. As long as I'm not holding on to inventory for too long, that's what's important to me. I don't really care about the extracurricular shit of like joining a markdown event and all that. That's not important to me. Um, do you plan to get into wholesaling and bulk buying? Absolutely. That's one of the reasons why I'm going to eBay Open this year, and I might be going to PoshFest as well, just so that I can connect with other resellers and just network more and try to wholesale with just try to, like I said, network with people. But I do know there's a lot of wholesalers that go to these events so that they can basically sell their products to resellers. So that's why I'm gonna go to eBay Open this year, try to connect with some people, because I'm definitely trying to get into the wholesaling piece of it, only so I can save some time. But at the same time, I see a lot of videos where people are doing unboxings of liquidation.com and Amazon returns, and it's hardly ever a win. It's usually a battle for them to break even, and I'm not really into the breaking even thing. So I'm not really like excited to pull the trigger on something like that. I rather do a wholesale deal with somebody that I can actually not necessarily inspect it before I purchase, but just somebody that has things that aren't returns and stuff like that. Let's see who else has some questions. Don't forget to smash that like button. We are approaching 46 minutes right now. I'm probably gonna do an hour. So yeah, I'll probably do about 14 more minutes. So don't forget to smash that like button. We got 67 people in the chat, 68. So keep on smashing that like so we could grow the channel. Uh, let's see. I won the closet listing $100 thing last month. Have you ever won? That's what's up. I haven't won shit. Poshmark, y'all need to let me win something. But like I said, I don't really participate in it, so I can't really win if I'm not participating. But good for you, Ricky V. $100. That's what's up. Uh, let's see. Found a pair. How often do you get returns on eBay? On eBay, my return rate right now is like 2%, 3%, something like that, and it's only because the item doesn't fit. Like it's to the point now where I turn my returns on like automatic. So anytime someone has a return because the item doesn't fit, they change their mind, or it's not as described, which is hardly ever unless they're trying to like scam me. Um, that's like it gets automatically accepted. I automatically accept returns, but most of the time when I get a return, it's always because it didn't fit, and I'm just gotten used to that, and that's why I also try to include measurements into my eBay listings. But at the same time, most people aren't checking the measurements. Most people would just say it's a medium. Oh, okay, cool, and they'll just buy it. So let's see. How long do you? No, let me get to this question first. Found a pair of Red Wing boots at the bins for $5. A little beat up, but thought it was worth it. First time finding Red Wing. What do you think? I sold a really pair of beat up Red Wing boots for like $50. They were really, really beat up, but I do think they were vintage. So Red Wing boots, a lot of people would buy them. That they'll even if they're beat up, they'll still buy them and they'll get them resold if needed. Or they might be somebody that enjoys polishing shoes and boots, so they might still purchase them even though they're beat up. What you can do is either try to polish them yourself, try to get them resold yourself, and that way you can get some more money. But if you're just trying to do a quick flip, list them as is, and I'm sure it could, at the very least, you could turn that 5 into like 40 depending on the style. How long do you hold your inventory? Most of my inventory sells within 30 days. Most of the things that I try to pick up, like I said before, I'm only selling brands that's popular, that's trending, that people are searching for on a regular basis, and I price my items like I average it out. So if I see most people are selling shirts for $30, I'm pricing mine for $30. So it usually sells quickly. But I've had some items here in the house for as long as 7, 8 months, and I've had some that I didn't even put it in my, like I didn't even put it away yet. Like as soon as I listed it, I put it down, and it sold because it either sold that fast for two reasons. I'm gonna be honest. It either sold too fast because I fucked up and I priced it way too low, or I priced it perfectly and somebody was like they saved that listing And once they save that listing, they got a notification to their phone saying that, so this brand that they always follow just got listed. So then they buy it. So that's pretty common for me. Do you ever go to a local rummage slash flea market for slow selling items? Do I ever? Did, Mary Reddington, do you mean if I ever go to sell my things at a rummage sale, or are you asking if I go to rummage sales? Because um, I do go to rummage sales sometimes in flea markets. Um, that's usually more of like a summertime thing. But the problem with some of these flea markets that I'm running into lately is the fact that they're trying to price their things as if it's online. They're trying to get top dollar. And for me, if it was a personal purchase, it would be a great price. But because I'm trying to flip it, it's way too much money for me. So that's the problem I'm starting to run into some of these flea markets. But I see you said to get rid of slow selling. No, what I do when it comes to slow selling things, I trade a lot of the stuff that's sitting around. Like if I picked up a shirt, say it's a Patagonia shirt, and I've had it for 2 months, and Patagonia is still a good strong brand, but for some reason that particular shirt didn't sell yet, I would take it to Buffalo Exchange, I would take it to Crossroads, and I would just try to trade those things for like a bigger, like a higher ticket item. And that usually works best for me because I always win the trade. Like I don't try to trade just for the sake of having trade credit. Like if I trade in 3 or 4 shirts and I get $60, whatever I'm purchasing, even if I spend the whole $60 on one item, you better believe that one item sells for at least $200 to $300. So I try to just make the most of my trade, and in most cases I always win. Because if that's the case, I'm not gonna trade. So that's how I get rid of stale and slow inventory. And sometimes I donate it back too as well if it has like something wrong with it. Um, I think we kind of coming up to the end of questions. I'm new on Poshmark. Do you think shoes would be a good choice to sell? Any tips on how to start getting sales faster? Um, yes, shoes is probably one of the best things to start selling on Poshmark. Like I said, especially if it's within that like 40 to that $20 to $40 range. Poshmark is the perfect place to put them on. Just make sure you're taking really good photos, and make sure none of your photos look like you're trying to hide something. If there's any flaws, make sure you put that in the listing. And like I said, really good and crisp photos always help. Um, any tips on how to start getting sales faster? Sharing your closet. Sharing your closet is like the best thing for you to do to increase your sales. I know there's a lot of techniques, and there's a lot of people on YouTube saying there's all these like advanced techniques, and I'm not saying they don't work because I'm pretty sure they do, but I don't. I just share my closet. Like that's all I do. I share my closet and I buy stuff that people want, and that works best for me. So I can't really speak on all of the other advanced techniques, but there's tons of people making YouTube videos about Poshmark on YouTube. So probably check out their stuff and see, like type in like selling strategies or something, like how to sell on Poshmark, and I'm sure some of my videos will pop up, but I'm sure like some of those advanced techniques will pop up. So you could just learn more about that. Um, do you ever do auction on eBay? Yes, sometimes I do auction on eBay um, for an item that I know. the the perfect example of something I'll put on auction is something that the range is very, very tricky. So for instance, if I see a particular pair of shoes and some soles are for 30 and then some soles are for like 100, and I'm not really sure where to price it, I might start my auction at $50 and just let it run. And wherever it goes, it goes. If I make $50 on that, I'm happy because I've seen some sold for 30, so I'm still happy to make sure that I'm still making money. But so there's been times where I priced it at 50, and because it was a hot item and it was a bidding war, it went up to like 100. So you never really know. But for me, that's what works best for auctions. Other than that, I don't really do it. Would you consider creating a guide for trending brands? Absolutely. I think I was working on an ebook, and that was one of the ideas that I thought about, and I figured that would really be helpful. The problem with trending brands is that ebook wouldn't really have a long lifespan, and I would have to constantly like update it. and that's fine. But at the same time, I think creating an ebook that will have like a longer staying power. I think that's something I'm more interested in. But definitely let me know, all 62 people in the chat, if y'all want an ebook on trending brands, if y'all would purchase that, let me know, and I'll whip that up ASAP. Because as you guys know, I have tons of videos on what brands to sell, what brands not to sell. But there's so much more brands that I know of that I don't really share, only because I don't want to give all the gems out. But I would put all the gems in a paid ebook, you know. So if you guys are interested in that, let me know. Um, how large was your inventory in your eBay store and Poshmark store during your first couple of months selling? On Poshmark, when I first started, I think I had 50 things in my Poshmark closet. And once I started making sales, I was like, oh shit, I need to like keep this going. So I definitely just started adding more. And like I said, at this point, I'm at 150. In about a month, I probably should be at 200 and maintain that 200. On eBay, I used to have about 120. I used to maintain that. And at this point now I'm like floating between 200 and 220. The problem is, and it's not an actual problem, it's a good thing. As soon as I get to 220, like 4 or 5 things sell. So it's like it's almost impossible for me to maintain more than 250 at this point. But if I had a lot of like more niche kind of things, like different things, it will probably last longer. But at the end of the day, my goal isn't to have the biggest store. My goal is to sell things as fast as possible. So that's really what the focus is for me, at least right now. Let's keep going. Uh, People are saying the book would be helpful. All right, you can make that happen. You can make that happen. You are so knowledgeable. How do you stay motivated when you have so much inventory to list and organize and take pictures? It's so funny. Somebody asked me this question in the last live stream. Now, for me, when it comes to staying motivated, I always say I got a wedding to pay for. Um, this is reselling, whether it's from eBay or it's from Poshmark, pays all the bills, and it basically keeps everything afloat for me. So I know if I'm not hustling, if I'm not doing what I got to do, I'm not making any money. So for me, that's how I'm able to stay motivated and to keep going. And I'm just a genuinely like driven. Like it doesn't matter what I'm doing. Pat app. Oh, thank you for the $2, my man. I appreciate you. For me, it's literally like I have to feel satisfied with whatever it is that I'm doing. So for me, it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. I'm gonna give it 1,000%. When I was working at the college, I was trying to be the best advisor there was, and when I was a director, I was trying to be the best director out of every program. And now I'm literally trying to be the best reseller that I can be. I mean, I know there's so much other resellers, and there's people with teams, and there's people with staff. For me, I'm trying to do the best I can do with just being one person. And once I kind of get to that point where I start to need help, I'll probably start seeking help. But as of right now, I just know that I got to get to this money and I got to do what I got to do. So as long as I'm staying healthy and I could do it, I'm going to go for it. Let's see what other questions. We are approaching the 1 hour mark. So if y'all got any questions, let me know right now. Vanessa, thank you very much for the $3. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Yo, Super Chat is crazy. I love it. Do you pass on high-end but less popular brands like Topman, Thomas Pink, and Ted Baker? Yes, I do pass on a lot of those things. Because honestly, for me, some of those things aren't even considered high-end. Like something like Topman, they have a store in New York, and for me, they're like a more expensive Zara or a more expensive H&M. So they're not really high-end. Thomas Pink, I know it still sells, but it kind of takes a little longer to sell. So I definitely pass on Thomas Pink. Ted Baker, certain blazers, like the newer blazers, I might pick those up. But usually I do pass on Ted Baker shirts as well, because it just sits a little longer for me, and I don't usually like to have brands that sit for too long. Do you have a death pile? Right now I do. This week was crazy, so I bought a bunch of stuff. I bought at least 100 pieces in just this week, and I listed maybe 60. So right now I got about 40 things I gotta list. So I'm probably gonna knock those out after we're done with this live show. I'm gonna probably tackle maybe 20, list those, and then knock out another 20 tomorrow. Cause I'm not one of those people that try to list 100 things in a day. Like that's just ridiculous, and it doesn't help the business. You have to be consistent with what you're doing. So if it's better to drop 20 every day than to drop 101. Let's see. I'm older, but our backgrounds are very similar. That's what's up. I'm an old soul, so that's why it's so similar. I'm an old soul. $2. Thank you very much, Ricky V. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Tommy Bahama, your thoughts. My thoughts on Tommy Bahama is I only pick it up if it has like a big graphic on the back, or if it's like an embroidery type of thing going on the back of the shirts. But if it's like a regular Tommy Bahama polo or a regular like floral shirt, I pass on that only because the market is a little oversaturated and the value isn't there like it used to be. So instead of picking it up hoping that I get 15, hoping that I get 15 in like 6 months, I just leave it alone. But if you could get it for like 50 cents from the bins, I mean, go for it. Okay, I think we have reached our hour. So thank you for tuning in to the live stream. I definitely appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. But like I said, I got to knock out about 20 listings today. So thank you guys very much. If you guys got any questions, drop it in the comment section, and I'll try to answer that in the next video.